coming up.
You were hoping that the LRP would not pay off.
Yeah.
And then you get there and the cattle make $300, $400, $500 a head, whatever it is.
You're grappling
and then you're grappling about $70. 5 years ago, I'd have told you if a guy's got less than 1,000 cattle, he probably wouldn't work with somebody like us. But today's standards, we can work with anybody of any size. Embracing the youth, enriching the youth, and that's how we're going to keep this thing going long term.
That's right around the corner on the Live Ag Ranch and Livestock Marketing We Live It podcast. But first, a reminder. If it's time to sell your cattle, consign your cattle with Live Ag. Our summer auction schedule is on your screen and available at live-ag.com. Consign your cattle now and take advantage of Live Ag's generations of experience in livestock marketing. Now here's your hosts, Ty deCordova and Casey Mabry.
Welcome back to the We Live It podcast. Here, myself, Ty deCordova, and Casey Mabry. We'd just like to welcome all you back in social media land for joining us, and thank you all also for subscribing and liking to the podcast and continue to watch. And as it continues to grow, we're going to keep asking you guys out there that if you want to be on the show or you want to advertise on the show or you want to be a part of any of it, just reach out to Katie Holdner at katie@live-ag.com is her email, and she can get you fixed right up with a marketing package. So, Casey, we'll kind of dip right into here. We're going to talk a little bit about marketing strategies and risk management through Blue Reef Agri Marketing, which is a company that you co-founded or worked with or partner in, and y'all have multiple locations, Texas, Nebraska. Help me out here, speak.
So we've got an office in Weatherford, Texas. Yeah. We've got an office in O'Neill, Nebraska. We've got a guy that works out of San Angelo, Texas. Wade Perks works out of San Angelo.
Why'd you have to mention him?
And then, we've got an office of we've got several guys that work directly on the grain side. So Blue Reef was started about 15 years ago. We've talked about this a little bit. A couple of guys, Chip Nellinger and Adam Dreyer. I would have probably joined about 7-8 years ago after I'd spent some time with Cargill, bringing that on there. And so we started focusing predominantly on cattle and cattle price 7 or 8 years ago. And it was Scott Dreyer and myself for the bulk of that. Over time, as our business has grown, our biggest business model difference is we reduce the number of people that we work with so that we can have a really, really tight relationship with those guys in the producers. And as we've grown and we've had to grow with people. And so we've added those people across the way.
So tell us a little bit about your team. I mean, how does that look, and who are they, and what are their specialties, and kind of, because one thing we do know about successful companies is the people that are underneath the people that people normally see or resonate with. That we got people under us that are great at what they do. That's what makes us look so good. So kind of tell us a little bit about your team and what all they do.
Yeah, as you know, the hardest thing to do is it's easy to say, man, let's grow. Or that was really never our intent, was to grow. It was really honestly to work producers on a one-on-one basis and give them advice. The byproduct of that is it's a little bit different than what the other people do it as. And so that's allowed us to grow.
Word of mouth.
As we've gotten more customers. And so, honestly, what we've tried to do is find people that understand the business. I always joke around, I'll never hire a 4.0. And I want to hire people that are really understanding and compassionate towards the customer. I don't want to try to find the smartest guy in the room type deal. And so with that, we try to find, people that grew up in this industry, whether they were in FFA or 4-H programs, going out and trying to find seasoned, 40, 30-year-old veterans in this industry is hard. They don't necessarily want to make a transition. And the other thing, they come with some bad habits too. So we try to find people that are in the middle part of their career and they're, 30 years old or so, that have got got a lot of experience in the business and the commercial side of it. We trade futures. So we have to have a Series 3, but I don't necessarily want to go out and hire brokers from other companies. I want to hire people that we can teach that side of the business. And so understanding the producer, understanding the different geographic regions that these people are in, understanding the timing of the market, understanding the physical attributes of the cattle is something that's super important. So we try to focus on that. So like Dawson Dietrich works for us in the Texas office here. His dad is a client of mine. He's probably been one of my first clients. I met Dawson, he was in school and finishing up school. And man, I knew right away that kid grew up, processing calves and working right alongside his dad and going to sale barns and things like that. Zach Sybil runs our office in Nebraska, and Zach, he was a cattle buyer for Cargill. I knew him there. Great guy. Really grew up in production, and he's still in production. He runs cows, runs feeder cattle, feeds cattle. He is in the thick of it. So we want those people that can understand that. Justin Slaybaugh works there under Zach and mentors under him. He's a younger guy. So we're not going to try to go out and hire guys that are girls that, don't necessarily, have the compassion and that. We know, and I've talked about this at length of, we know it takes a lot to know this business. And so we want to make sure that these guys have some season. And we want to make sure that they've been through the good and the bad, because, how this business is. There's good and there's bad. It's definitely a challenging business. And so whenever things get tough, whenever the emotions get high, we want to be able to step back on a solid foundation and make the best decision that's out there. It might not always be the right way. It might not always be it might not end up being right, but it was the right decision for that time there. So
it was educated and the right decision at that moment.
Yep.
We're all wrong.
And focused on how it fit that individual producer's deal. So,
looking to earn a premium for doing things right? At Earth Claims, we provide private, third-party verification services trusted by ranchers and preferred by retailers. We offer the original animal welfare program, Global Animal Partnership, also known as GAP. And now we've added NHTC and Verified Natural to provide the best third-party bundle in the business today. Plus, Earth Claims offers grass-fed and organic programs to propel your access into the top markets and best prices. Our team has over 200 years of combined experience in animal husbandry, and we understand the ins and outs of your operation because we've lived it too. Call us today at 816-652-2004 or visit earthclaims.com to enroll your cattle and start earning more. Earth Claims, rancher trusted, retailer preferred.
I'm going to kind of jump off topic. We'll jump right back on, but you mentioned something a while ago about 4-H and FFA, and they had the Texas FFA convention in Fort Worth, and your daughter was awarded an award. Yeah. So what did she receive?
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. So she found an ag teacher, and this ag teacher got her involved in the Agri-Science Fair project. And the Agri-Science Fair project is where a kid goes and actually does a physical project. Hers was, last year, she did it 2 years in a row, different projects. And these kids, there's hundreds of kids that have hundreds of different projects, and they all have different deal, and they break them into divisions. Hers was food products. And so what she did is we were at the grocery store one day, and we're going through there, and she's starting to learn about, the value. She does meat judging, and she's learning about the value differences in cuts of beef. And she's like, Dad, why are ribeye steaks $17.99 a pound and beef eye-around steaks are, $3.50 or $4 a pound? And I was explaining the difference there. One, you just throw on the grill and you can eat it and everything's good. And what she ended up doing was taking beef eye-around steaks and marinating them. Last year, she marinated them in pineapple juice. And then she went down to Tarleton State with Dr. Drew Castens there, and they did shear force testing on that. So she took the steaks last year, marinated them, cooked them to a certain degree of doneness, which she knows and I don't, and work with that professor to cook the steaks and then do a tenderness testing on it, slice shear force. This year, I was like, she's like, well, it doesn't make sense to soak these things in pineapple and it makes it taste weird. So she tested different, dry rubs. And so it was cool. So there's lots of kids in her category. So she was fortunate enough so she had to do the project, write the paper, put together a poster board, and then present that to a panel of judges. And so, yeah, man, it's awesome. Todd didn't buy a show pig for her to win, or, you didn't buy a show steer or something like that. The stuff with these 4-H and FFA programs that you're going to get these kids out of our houses and the ability to stand on their own 2 feet, are those deals, right? Yeah. To be able to stand up there.
And a week or two before that, they made the national meat judging. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we've got a team. My wife and I coach, and my daughter's on that team as well. And there's 3 boys that are on that team. 2 of them are going to go to college. They're twins. They're going to go to college this year, basically for nothing. So they won the national. Last year. They were second in state in Texas and went to Denver, and they won the National Western. This year, those kids won the state contest this year, and they'll qualify. They'll go to the American Royal in October.
Man, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
So I didn't mean to get off topic, but I wanted to touch base there because I didn't get to give her the accolades that I wanted to in the last couple of them, and it hadn't slipped my mind; it was still there. But and I didn't want her to get mad at me. So
what's funny is I was the week before we went to the State FFA convention. She's got to give a presentation, right? And so she had been working on this thing a lot, and it's kind of humbling to sit back and watch these kids how they work on it. But she had been given this speech over and over and over again, and we were in a hotel in Springfield, Illinois, and at 2:30 in the morning she wakes up, or she didn't wake up. She just elevated out of the bed and started giving this speech. And I was like, okay, is it time to get up and go to the deal? And I looked over at my phone, and it was 2:30 in the morning. But she had driven it in her head so much that she like woke up. And I woke up the next morning. I said, "Did you know that you gave this speech to me?" I said, "I know you know it because you gave it to me last night without any distraction." It was perfect. Yeah, in her sleep. It was weird, man. Yeah, but absolutely, no. Those programs are awesome for those kids. And
that's where we seek some of our talent too.
Absolutely,
out of those programs bursts coachable, teachable young adults.
So like Dawson, he did the commercial steer project, which I don't know if everybody knows about that at Houston. Yeah. And that's where those kids, they take 3 steers, they feed those steers out. They got to do a test. They do a meat judging identification. They do all these different things. And then really it goes back to like, that's why Dawson could talk the market up and down when the kid graduated high school. So, having those programs, I absolutely, we offer internships. So kids that are out there that are interested in this stuff, whether they're going to go back, we got one intern this summer that his dad's a client of ours. We know he's going back to the operation. We've got other interns that we hire that we think might come to work for us in some capacity.
Yeah.
But yeah, embracing the youth, enriching the youth, and that's how we're going to keep this thing going long term.
Moving livestock isn't just about getting animals from point A to point B. It's about doing it with the care and precision that keeps your investment safe and sound. Since 1987, AAR Transportation has been the name that ranchers across the country trust with their herds. Their experienced drivers understand that your livestock is your livelihood, and they trust each load like it's their own. I've personally used AAR to move my own livestock, and I can tell you, nobody takes better care of your animals on the road. Whether you're moving herd bulls or a full truckload of calves, give AAR Transportation a call today. That's 208-452-5011, or visit agartransportation.com for a quick quote. AAR Transportation, moving your cattle with care since 1987.
I know before every sale we get on here at the podcast and we talk about market analysis, and you give a market analysis for that week and what's kind of looking down the road. What would you say to a potential customer that comes to you and says, okay, I need protection on either 1,000 mama cows or 200 mama cows or 1,000 feeder steers, or kind of walk us through the process of how that all works and what, I guess not what fits because it depends on the timing, but how all that looks and the process of getting to know your customer base and the questions you ask and all that.
Yeah. So everybody, it's so awesome to sit down and talk to producers because you really get to know, there's no two that are alike. We've got producers that are massive and they're beef on dairy customers and then we've got small cow-calf producers. And so I would tell you 5 years ago, it's probably a lot different, Todd, than what it is today. The industry's changed. It's also changed that we've got the insurance side to where we can do LRP. So, 5 years ago, I'd have told you if a guy's got less than 1,000 cattle, he probably wouldn't work with somebody like us. But today's standards, we can work with anybody of any size.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is understanding that person's operation. So where are they at geographically? What type of cattle do they have? What's their marketing window? And the luxury that we have in the cattle industry is the marketing window is extremely wide. So we're going to make recommendations to them based on what fits them. We're not just going to come with a one size fits all. You need to hedge them this day and do this day and all that. There's lots of factors that play in. Those factors being, futures market stuff. For example, the futures market last year ranges $35 a hundred, whereas the cash market doesn't range that much. It ranges probably half of that. So what that tells me is the futures market is going to be right or wrong. It's mostly going to be wrong. What's real is the current cash market or the physical market that we're in. And so we got to be aware of that. So really, we spend a lot of time educating those producers on, hey, look, how many cattle do you have? What are the different tools that we can use, whether it's LRP, options, and the word options gets really confusing to people, but it's really simplistic. So whenever we take those real complex things that are in our industry and simplify that into the language that a producer can understand, giving them downside protection in a market, and then futures. I mean, it's obvious what futures are, but how those work with margin calls and regulatory things that a producer has to have in a brokerage account and all that stuff. Terminology like being long means that you own the market. Being long doesn't necessarily have to be a futures position. It could be the physical inventory of length. Offsetting or neutralizing that exposure with futures and options is something that's important. So really what we founded ourselves on and really try to focus on and not lose sight of is making sure the producer knows where they're at, what they have, how to offset it if they want to neutralize risk.
Yeah.
We do make direct recommendations to them. So if a producer says, hey, Casey or Scott or Zach or whoever, what do you think the market's going to be? We're going to come with a bias. Where that bias is determined is, seasonality is one, flat price is one, technical things are one, but nobody's good at predicting the market. I mean, I honestly can tell you that nobody's good at predicting the market. What people need to be good at and what you need to look for is the hand that you're dealt today. How does it fit? And what's the best way to neutralize that? So different things LRP, Livestock Risk Protection, that came out a long time ago, but it really didn't start getting utilized until recently. During COVID, they subsidized it by about 20%. They've actually made the program easier for people to get access to. It is designed for I'd say the mid-size and smaller producer. There's head limits, so you can't have every corporate yard using it. It's a great tool. So it acts just like a put option, except it's cheaper. The USDA has made lots of different changes to it. We just entered a new crop year, and there's lots of different things that are going to come about that. The cool thing, the thing I love the most about it is it's a cheaper form of risk management that provides the same level of coverage that you get with options, but then there's no there's no margin call risk. Okay, so you don't have to have your money tied up in that deal. In today's world where interest is high, that's very, very important. On the con side, I've heard producers say, I'm going to give you an example. Talking to a producer a couple weeks ago, they look at it like they sold I said, how'd you sell your wheat pasture cattle? Man, it was great. The only bad thing is I had to write a check for $14,000 to cover for my LRP. And I go, well, if you would you rather that thing pay off because you wouldn't have sold those, cattle coming off wheat for over $3 a pound, you know? So just understanding how that works. It's an insurance policy. It's something that protects the cattle. It's utilized to make sure that if we do have something catastrophic that an unforeseen happens, it's there. So we use LRP heavily. We like it. We like it more so than most other products because of the flexibility it has. Mm-hmm. Some guys may say it's not flexible because they can't get out of it. You can get out of a futures position, you can get out of an options position. But if you use that in conjunction with a futures position, there's lots of versatility and lots of flexibility with it.
That wasn't Barbara that called in and said that because I knew he had to send a check in on his wheat heifers, and he was like, "Well, y'all wouldn't have." I'm like, "Dude, you made." I don't want to hear you. Hush.
Hey, it's always, it's funny that whenever, because I think through this a lot because I have to have these conversations and level set everybody. When we put it on, whenever you put that position on, you were hoping the market would go up. You were hoping that the LRP would not pay off.
Yeah.
And then you get there and the cattle make $300, $400, $500 a head, whatever it is.
You're grappling
and then you're grappling about $70. And you're like, well, I hope they make 100. They make 280, but then you had to give 70 up.
You still make 210. Yeah. I mean,
or you make 350 minus 70 or whatever.
Whatever it is.
But it's interesting to watch how it's a human nature deal.
Oh, yeah.
I was sitting in the parking lot of this place talking to one of my customers, and it was just funny because he's like, oh, it's human nature to act like that, isn't it? I go, I remember one time you told me I could only, if I made $100 a head on every animal that we fed, I'd be the happiest person in the world. And I've seen some closeouts where cattle make 900, 800, and they're giving up 200 in risk management, and they're focused on,
and they're focused on the 200.
And you're like, man, you made $600 or $700 a head. But they all laugh about it, and it's actually become somewhat comical in that. But I mean, the LRP works in a market like we're in, where it just continues to go higher and move higher. So again, something fits different people. A combination of those fits some people, but not everything fits everybody.
Well, Casey, we appreciate it, and we appreciate your analysis every week. You want to tell them how to get, I know we're going to have some stuff on our website where they can get to you too, but you want to tell them how to get to you and how to see your market reports?
Yeah, so we send out market reports very regularly, mostly once a week, where we give kind of a big in-depth overview of the market, where we're at, where our bias is, what to do if you get here, and that kind of stuff. So we call that our weekly wrap up. We send that out on Fridays. If you guys are interested in getting that, reach out to us. There should be a link here, or we can get Katie to do that. We've got to, just put some information in there. And if you guys are interested in any of the services that we provide, we can definitely offer that up too. So do that. We do send out the LRP quotes every day. So the USDA publishes the LRP quotes after the markets close. We send those out. We also have some market information in those LRP quotes. We make it very simple, very easy to view. And if you guys want that, also we could put that there. So there'll be a form on this to where you can go in there. If you want to talk to me, I can definitely talk to you, or any of our reps, or any of our advisors that we have. We got a great team of people. We got a great team of people that are focused on, the betterment of the producer. Yeah. And we try to do the best we can to offer, whatever that advice is. So whether you're somebody that's got 50 cows or you're somebody that's got 50,000, like I said, not everything fits everybody, but we should be able to accommodate that.
Well, that's good. Once again, thanks, Casey, for the insight, and appreciate you. I really appreciate your faith in Live Ag, and from the beginning that y'all have been here with us as we all grow together. Man, I just can't thank you for enough for the friendship and being able to talk about the girls showing, and that just goes back to the foundation and the building of the whole company, and founded on family values and stuff like that. So can't thank you enough for that. Once again, out there, thank everybody for joining us. Appreciate y'all for watching We Live It podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and like. There will be a QR code or a link at the bottom of the page to click in there and ask a few questions if you'd like. Me and Casey would do the best possible job we can to answer them. So try to make them easy, because we're not that educated.
Third grade level.
Yeah, third grade level, please. No, nothing longer than 2 or 3 words, but short questions. But once again, thank you guys and gals for watching us, and we ask you to share it. We ask you to get it out there. So we appreciate you. And if you want to reach out, and once again, want to reach out and be on, or want to reach out for an advertising package, go to live-ag or email Katie at live-ag.com. And once again, thank y'all very much, and God bless.